As always, I'm your co-host Brian, and joining me as always is your co-host Jim.
I'm Batman.
Are you? Are you
No,
really? I love
no, I'm just a
Batman.
little horse.
Oh, uh, everyone's got something. Everyone's got something. I think.
Hairballs.
So many people are sick. So many people. I'm still sick. Our guest Travis is still sick. Speaking of guests, we have two of them, and they've been here before. You guys, joining us from where are you guys again? Where are you all located?
I'm in Seattle.
Seattle.
I'm in. This is Eric. I'm in San Francisco.
Oh, okay. So from Seattle and San Francisco, it's Travis Baldree and Erich Schaefer of
Hello.
Rebel
Good
Galaxy
morning.
fame. Double Damage
You should do
Games.
A morning show, totally. That'd be.
So not to totally sideline everything in the first 30 seconds, but
Oh,
have
do
you
it.
have you seen Computer Show?
What's that?
It's basically, do you remember the Computer Chronicles back in the 80s? They played on PBS.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Old
yeah.
Cheesy
Up on
80s.
YouTube
So
now.
just imagine somebody made that show with the exact same production values. Like it's made in the 80s, but all of their guests are from now.
Wait,
and none
what?
of the co-hosts know what the heck is going on. That's the
What?
general gist.
What's it
Is
called?
parody or are they
It's
serious?
called Computer Show. No, it's hysterical.
Computer Show.
Computer.show.
Computer.
And it's got,
show.
all the cheesy PBS sponsors at the beginning. And then at the end,
Oh my
there's
God.
a guy in a questionable beard sitting in a black room in his very 80s chair talking,
Oh God.
in very deep tones about, what the societal impact of all this will be. And then he kind of awkwardly slips in the sponsor blurb.
Oh God.
It's amazing. Anyway, you guys should do that show.
Oh,
We're doing it right now.
They've
So-
actually got I'm looking at the
Well-
pictures. They've actually got the suits and shit.
Oh, yeah. And it's all got that VHS kind of crawl to it, but it's super authentic.
Oh.
And then they had the co-founder of Reddit comes on.
Oh God, I love this one guy's tweed brown 3-piece suit standing next to an Apple IIe
It's amazing.
down here. Oh my God, copyright 1983. Oh, I found my new obsession. This is amazing. Well, welcome back, you guys. It's been a little over about a year, I think, since we had you on last.
Sounds
I
right.
lost the concept of time, but sure.
I think so. I think we had you on about last October, and if I recall correctly, the game was not that far ahead at the time.
We had to have announced it, right? So it has
You
to be,
just announced it
So-
a week before, or 3 days, or something
we had
crazy.
a lot of stuff left to do at that point.
Yeah, but
And you had the first out in the wild copy of the game. the
I
very
know I'm
first.
still giddy about that, but you got it done in a year.
We
How
did. We're
did-
still here too. We're still alive.
I know. So here's my overall hard to answer question. How did you do that?
Force of will.
Just brute force.
Mostly it's
Um,
Travis. He's a genius at these things.
I'm really good at not doing things that I don't have to do.
Because it's funny. I spent most of the early versions of the game just flying around one solar system, and I was so happy to do that. And then I spent most of my current session flying around the first solar system. Because
that's
it's
my
like,
dog. Apologies.
wee! It's someone, oh, there's a mission. Oh, there's a distress call. Oh, there's a signal. It's just, for me, it's the perfect carrot and stick type. It's got that perfect, freelancer, privateer, one more mission,
Yeah.
one more run vibe.
It's a Zen space game.
It really is. It's relaxing. Oh, I just get a mission done. I'll save and I'm done. Good. I'm done. It's great.
It's a Zen
Well,
space game.
That's what we were hoping for. So
And
happy
and
to hear.
This is kind of it's the Rocket League of space games.
uh,
No.
Minus
No.
all
Hey,
the
what?
multiplayer.
Will you be putting in a multiplayer soccer mode?
Oh,
Because
God,
that would
no.
really be.
Just
I
that
can't-
multiplayer like gambling game.
I'm still wondering how they got multiplayer and freelancer to work with because I mean, they didn't have the random universe generation that you
What was
guys
the
had.
player counts on that too? It was like
Um,
30. Was it like a 30 max or something like
yeah,
that?
I've
What?
been on
What?
servers with
Wait, freelancer?
yeah, 32, I think.
No. I was on a server last week that had over 100 on it.
Whoa,
Yes.
They modded that open. I feel like it was less at launch, but it's
that
been
game
a
has been
long
modded to
time.
hell. That game has been so modded. It's been so.
It's been a long time. Somebody was asking me why we didn't do that, and I was like, well, mostly it has to do with just pure projectile counts, because we have when you add the broadsides and all the turrets, it starts to get really crazy really fast. 'Cause
And
if you can fly around in a ship that has like 20 broadsides aside and I don't know what 16 turrets and turrets can
missiles and
fire I don't know
mines
4 or 5 projectiles a second, and you mash all that together, it's like it's so many projectiles. It's a stupid number of projectiles. I can't even imagine how it came that synchronized. Which is, I guess, why games like Eve don't let you, blind fire your weapons, and there's lots of beams and stuff, right?
yeah.
Yeah, how do you run around and like kiss that many projectiles 60 times a second? Like
It's a lot of
you
projectiles. You have to optimize the
yeah, I
crap
mean
out
it's
of it.
like it's a bullet hell kind of thing. Are you
Now imagine there are
Japanese?
30 people all doing the same thing, but not really next to each other in the same solar system, and it gets really bonkers really fast.
Oh, I can't even imagine. Jesus Christ.
Drag your conga lines of ships together and see how it goes. It doesn't go very well.
Just 30 people. Just 10 people. Jesus. Because there's so much shit flying
Too
around in this
hard.
game. In any particular fight, there is so much shit flying around. Missiles and mines and all kinds of crap. Now, one thing I have to say I love about this game, you made the mining beams into viable weapons. And not only viable weapons, fun weapons.
Pretty good little beams.
I love them so much. I can't imagine using anything else. They're just like, I just love seeing them power up. Like, oh, someone's gonna get sliced and diced. They've got that warble effect that right before they're about to fire, and you're like, oh yeah, here it comes. I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, I could just never when we had it as just mining lasers, I could never sacrifice a whole turret just to mine asteroids. So we turned it into actual weapons. I think it was a good call.
Yep. They didn't work very well on ships at all at the beginning. I think they only really worked well on hulls. So if they had shields, they were pretty much worthless to start with.
I'm really glad you guys changed that because
We kept trying to come up with some way where you could mount them that was like some other thing, so it wouldn't like occupy a weapon slot. But it was.
But
too
what
much of a pain
what
in the
good
butt.
does it do shooting an asteroid with a mining beam versus I just pull out a big laser and shoot the thing because it's going to break apart anyway, right? Do I lose?
They can lock on to the asteroids for one thing.
yeah.
And also, if you use fault detection software, and you pulse, you'll get little weak points. It'll show you red rings on the surface of the asteroid, and it can lock onto those. And if you destroy it by shooting a weak point, you get like triple or quadruple yield.
Oh, well, that's
So you get a
pretty
lot
good.
more. And if it turns out to be good stuff, like rare stuff, then you get like a high yield of rare stuff.
Oh, we have a question from the chat room. Can we? I mean, you guys just launched like 10, 15 days ago, but someone's already asking for DLC.
Yeah, that'll be the Christmas.
I'm sure that's not the first time you've heard that.
Not at all.
Sure.
No, people always ask about DLC or
People want harder
expansions.
People want harder systems, new systems.
I would like a cockpit view and fuzzy
No,
dice.
I don't want a cockpit view.
Killing me, Smalls. Killing me.
That and carriers. People want to launch.
We want to launch fleets of carriers. That's pretty much the constant.
Or drones.
What about carriers? Can we launch fighters?
Drones would be fun.
After our little discussion about how many things are flying around.
Just add more, you guys. It's just like you can only have like 10 more drones. Why not? Just add 10 more things with their own projectiles. Yeah, why
A lot
not?
of these things are like gameplay that works really well in like strategy games. You have a character in a strategy game, it's not that big of a deal if it launches fighters, right? Because the carrier has AI and you don't really control it. So little ships go flying out of the bay and that's not a big deal. But if you launch ships out of the bay of a ship that you're steering and then you turn right, what happens to all the ships that are still launching? Oh, they all bang against the side of the carrier and it's a big friggin' mess. And since you don't take control away, like so many of these concepts just don't work when you actually steer the ship.
Well, no, you learn to slow down and drive in a straight line when you launch those things, or you lost them. Oops.
I'm just
Court
imagining
martial.
you. It's like it turned sideways and they all slid down the deck.
So for your next trick, we would like Torchlight 3
No.
in space.
Blah.
Isn't that?
No, I mean a game like that, but in space. That's what we need.
So
How would you do that? Would you have a guy in a spacesuit running around asteroids, jumping? Like, how would you?
Yeah, wizards, man.
What?
Space wizards.
Space?
I was actually making a very similar game back at Blizzard right before I left. It was codenamed Starblow because it was StarCraft Diablo.
Oh dear.
Star
You would land a ship on planets and just do like away team missions as in like little torchlight dudes.
Oh, and then what? You
Well,
leave the planet and fly around. Oh, wow, there you go. You have this part be the spaceship part, and then you land, you beam down, and it's like a Diablo Torchlight part.
Well, there is a
That's
PlayStation 4
DLC for
game
you.
that just came out a few months ago that is kind of Diablo on planets, right? It just kind of randomly generates stuff.
That's from the Magica guys, right? I forget what that one's called.
It's called I don't have a PlayStation, so I wouldn't know.
I do, but I don't have that game. What's Rogue? Fuck, what the hell's that shit called? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I know the game you're talking about. But that I don't think you fly the ship around in that one. I think you just pick on. I think you're like, oh, here's a map. I want to go to that planet next. Boom, done. Beam down. I think that's all that is.
Yeah, just not too interesting for us after all that Diablo, Torchlight, and Fate stuff. We've made those games too long.
Yeah, that's like that's like a fucking dozen games or something almost, right?
Yeah,
Well,
the 20-year career.
Yeah, the ditch is well dug too. People have their expectations of exactly what those games are at this point. It's
Yeah,
like
that's
you just
true.
I'm gonna just check it off the list. Got to make sure we have some sort of globe with some health in it, and you got to have some sort of thing you can use to regenerate, and you got to have a skill tree, and but it can't have too many passives, and you probably need to synergize these skills somewhat, and all the skills have to be anyway. You go down a list of things that pretty much have to be in these games now.
So what are you guys gonna do next? I mean, we haven't had a good bowling game in a while.
Space bowling.
Let him rest, you got. Let him rest, damn it. I mean, they just released
Well,
this.
my hands are still full for a while because I got the console versions to get out the door, and
Oh,
they're in
yeah.
like pre-certification right now, so pretty close to getting them into cert to go out the door. And it's just been you have post-launch tech support. I kind of forgot what it's like not to have a customer service department because it's been a long time since I've done this without one.
Oh, no.
Like a decade, and so there's a lot of that for the first week or two.
Well,
oh my gosh.
most people I know are very positive on the game. I mean, there have been some complaints here and there, but for the most part, I've been very happy to see just such a great response.
Yeah, I think it did well, and I think people in general really liked it. I just am in the position of myopically looking at the tech support forums, and I don't look at anything else. So that's my window into the world right now, at least for another few weeks, where it kind of tapers off. It's nowhere near as there's not as many people coming in at once, going like, oh my gosh, I don't know why this doesn't work on my Intel HD. Or,
oh my god!
I can't turn everything on my Intel HD.
I saw one guy on a forum. It was like, my save game got corrupted. I hope PC gaming dies in a fire. I'm like, what?
Oh yeah, well you get all kinds of fun stuff because if you turn off your Steam and you force kill it, or you shut your machine off while it's Steam Cloud syncing and you don't wait for the dialogue to go, sometimes it can trash them. And also some of the antivirus scanners, if you leave them on, they'll quarantine saves
oh no,
and just remove them. So I ended up adding a backup system to try and take care of that, and I keep refining the backup system to take care of new ways that people can get screwed up files. And
well, yeah, because you don't have multiple save states, right? It is what it is.
Just the one, yeah.
Yeah, so there's no save scumming that can go on here and stuff.
And that's the general intent, is that you just exit, and when you exit, it saves where you are. I mean, there's ways to kill it and avoid it by just killing the task, but...
Well, I want to go back to something you said a moment ago about the blue vial of health, the red vial of health, and the blue vial of mana or whatever.
Yeah.
Basically, that's one thing you didn't carry over from Freelancer, which I have to say I liked.
Yeah, Freelancer had that kind of sort of MMO-y feel, the way that you used the nanobots to heal, kind of.
It was kind of Diablo where your
functions
avatar was. It was kind of Diablo where your avatar was the ship.
Yeah,
basically.
it had a lot of those things in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which actually caused me to dislike the game back when it came out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I'm like, why does this game have this mechanic where I'm chugging health potions?
I know that. But I like how this game doesn't have that. So you're like, okay, I can't win this fight. I'm going to limp back to a station and hope nothing else happens on the way. Oh god, oh god, oh god.
Yeah, and you
no one
should
attacked me.
accurately on fire, and I like that.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot too.
We tried to make a clean break from the RPG stuff. There was early on we thought, we should have modifiable laser turrets that have basically gem slots in it. We kind of ran through all those ideas. But we just wanted to make a clean break and try something completely new, just to make it more enjoyable.
Yeah, we totally had stuff we didn't put in, but most of it was not more ARPG stuff.
which is
The
fine.
long
Yeah, but
list
I'm-
of things that we would have put in, you know.
Which is-
But I'm spoiled with this game now because
Yeah.
it's like I spent a long time playing this, and then my buddy dragged me back kicking and screaming against my will into EVE Online.
Oh God.
And I'm playing EVE, and I'm wishing that I could like wake up in a different universe where EVE controls like your game, and it's not happening.
No.
So
That was really. I was a big Eve guy, and I always just wanted to. Can I just fly the ship? I love everything about the world and the universe, but I just want to blast away at things, and I was one of the big influences to get it started on this thing.
well, the other thing about it, right, is like I'm trying to build a ship, and it's paradox of choice, right? So you give me like I dock in your station, and it's like, oh, I can upgrade my engines. I got engine 1, 2, 3, 4. I can do that, and I see how much it costs and what the benefit's going to be. Great, this makes sense. But whenever you open up like the giant frickin' database in Eve, and there's 10,000 ship parts, and they're all like subtly different from each other, and I'm just like I just can't process that. So either I look on some website for like, okay, I bought this ship, what's the best build? What should I be going for? I let somebody else figure that crap out for me.
Yep.
But yeah, that's the part where the game is like an unscalable cliff to me. So that's one of the things that I really like about this game is that I can dock and I'm like, oh, cool, here's some upgrades, and it's about as difficult as like playing Gran Turismo and upgrading your car, right? So
I think one of the main and most difficult parts of game design is boiling down information into a way that it can be consumed. I mean, in almost every game, there's information there, and it's just how do you expose it in a way that people can consume with as much attention as you want them to consume it with. I mean, we spent a lot of time fiddling around with, when and where different parts showed up because the lists for us got too unmanageable too. If you really showed everything, it was actually a huge pain in the butt.
Huh.
Even for our smaller subset of stuff. I mean, we don't have anything like the scale of Eve components.
No, you have Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, and the differences between those are pretty stark.
But we don't show you all of them at the beginning either. I mean, they all
No.
get kind of banded out by difficulty, and there's other weird little rubber bandy stuff in there that checks what the level of all the things you have is and kind of like bend the rules for what a station can offer and just trying to get the right mix of things for you to be able to consider.
well, that and you don't have a complicated interplay between different components either.
No,
So-
you don't have to
so
worry
it's
about
not
how
like,
it draws
I-
power from system A and what it's going to do to system
Yeah.
B. And
Yeah,
So
that's nice. You don't
I
have
like
to worry about power.
simplicity with good gameplay. I don't so much like the overcomplicated. You need a PhD to play the damn game thing. So
And
it's
the nice thing is there are games for people who want that. If people want Eve and stuff, they have Eve. If the people want this or Freelancer, they have this.
Yeah, I mean, I think they can coexist too. I still play some Eve, but then sometimes you come home late Saturday and you're drunk. You can't play Eve. You can go blast spaceships all day.
Oh, and the spaceship blasting is so satisfying in this game.
Well,
You
when Travis was talking about, hey, we can't do, because I was the one that asked you about the multiplayer thing, and you gave me the explanation like about a month ago. But you were like, well, there's so many bullets and everything, and that, and I was like, well, I don't know, I'm having these fights and stuff, and then I watched some people playing on YouTube that were like advanced in the game, far beyond where I was, and then I was just like, oh, that's what he's talking about. So, yeah,
yeah, there gets to be lots.
it escalates quickly. But when you have like 10 Star Destroyers on the screen slugging it out, it's a little different. So I was kind of surprised at that it scales up as big as it does because, it's kind of like I was comfortable. I'm like a little space trucker,
We
cruising
originally
around
had it scale up a
thing.
lot faster, but it was too much to process early on. I mean, when the initial prototype builds were a lot more big ships earlier.
So-
Partially because we were just making them and making sure it all worked, but partially because they're like, oh well, it'll just get you right into some big old movie space battles. But it was too much to process, so we kept rolling it back and boiling it down to where the very first mission you don't have to fire a shot, but we give you an option to, and then the next mission you shoot some crates,
Yeah,
just
so,
to get people time to acclimate to the
Well-
fact that it didn't really control the same as stuff that they were used to.
Well, that's also good because I get the feeling a lot of people, I feel like people who are playing this, a lot of them aren't typical space game fans.
Well, that's kind of the hope, right? Because
Yeah,
I like space games, and I want people who like space games to like it. But
right.
it, one
It's
of
a
the
good
reasons I think
gateway
that
drug.
space
Yeah.
games kind of fell out of favor is because they didn't, in some ways, broaden themselves to other people.
Right.
Yeah.
And all those people still exist and still want to play space games. All the people who originally, it's like flight sim fans, right? Previously, flight sim fans were a huge portion of the audience of people who own computers, and they're still there. Probably the
Yeah.
same number of people, but there's a lot more people that use computers.
Yeah. And they don't want to they don't want to deal with, oh, I have to do what to turn the engines on? Yeah, no thanks.
And I think there's a
Right?
lot of value to that, and I think that kind of game. There's nothing wrong with that kind of gameplay at all.
No.
But there's other people who are doing it, and there's no way we were going to compete with them.
Right.
We're not going to get into the. We're not going to have kind of the real galactic scale and sort of grandeur and precision of Elite.
No.
They've been working on that thing for a long time, and that's kind of that's the direction they went. And then you've got Star Citizen, which is like everything, and
So
we're not
when-
going to do
when
that
does
either with our two-man team.
When does the Planetary Landings DLC come out?
Oh, dear Lord.
That'll be the.
That's very
What
unlikely.
do you do
That's
on the
not
planet?
something
I
that
don't know what I would do on the planet.
The same thing you do in a space station. It's just the
Just
exact.
walk around. Well, I don't like walking around on space
collect-
stations either.
collect
Actually,
dust.
I don't
All
like
you
walking.
all you
in
do is go
space.
to a bar or miss your computer. It's the same exact damn thing.
I'm a big believer in abstraction myself.
Oh, yeah.
I liked old RPGs where you're like an icon on a map and it doesn't take me an hour to get to the other side of the damn map. That's abstraction. It brings the fun parts closer together.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, one
So let
thing
me tell you
I
about what a
can't walk through a streaming world from end to end. Doesn't mean I actually want to.
So tell you about what a friend of ours is doing, because he's doing a Let's Play series of the game, but he is completely and purposefully avoiding the main quest line. Right.
Yeah.
So
Huh.
he's just like, I'm going to be a space pirate, and off I go. And
Okay.
so that's the life he's living. But does it restrict you to that? Do you hit any kind of walls where it's like, okay, now you can't progress because if you'd have done the quest, then you'd have the widget that you need to survive the thing, and so you don't put any walls up.
It does not. You can buy a jump drive and head off and kind of progress at your leisure. You can finish the game as a pirate too if you want to go. It's not like you have to be good to win.
Hmm.
So
But what's the
you
win
go-
state? Is there like a thing that you do at the end? You don't.
There's
have
a
to
story
spoil it.
end where it ends, and then you can say, okay, well, I'm done with the story, and then I'll motor on.
Okay.
I mean, in large part, the story is just there as a backbone to push you around and to put characters in front of you that give flavor to the world, as
Right.
much as we can afford to do.
Right.
Which is kind of how it worked in Privateer and
Yeah.
Freelancer too,
That's
right?
exactly how it worked. Yeah.
There's not that much story in those games. It's like
No.
13 to 20 big missions, and they introduce some characters, and they go away for a while, and then they come back. But it's mostly just this little goalpost for you as you go through to say, oh yes, I am advancing, and oh, there are other people here, and it feels a little bit more like a place.
Yeah, Privateer was a lot more subtle about it than Freelancer. Freelancer was like you actually had levels. Oh, I'm level 11 now. Hey,
Yep.
by the way, we need you over here. Hey.
Yeah, Privateer told you in the manual what you needed to do to start the story, and stuck you in a backwater, and you futzed around for a long time trying to get something that wasn't the Tarsus. And
Oh,
eventually you went through a lot of really dangerous places until you finally went to whatever it was that was mentioned in the manual. I can't even remember the name of the station. And then you kind of started the story.
Yeah, exactly. But you didn't
No,
have to
see,
do that at all.
I got my ass kicked by pirates before I could even get to the point where I'd bought the jump drive and could get out of the first.
See,
system.
I keep
Like,
telling you, the
over and
Tarsus
over.
knew you hated it, and so it didn't help you at all.
It was a charmingly clunky thing.
It really was. It was the Toyota Yaris of spaceships. It's
I go back and
exactly.
play it now, and I'm like, "Heck, just tell me how much this. I can never remember how much the Centurion costs because it's always what I would go for.
It was like
Yeah.
100. I don't know why I'm thinking
That's a lot of money.
125,000
A lot of money.
credits.
But when you buy it, you lose everything because it trades in all the value for all the other equipment. So you're doing this mental math like, oh my gosh, how much overage do I have to have? And the guy will never tell you how much it costs. He just says, you don't have enough to buy this.
That is one thing I love about this game. It's like you buy a new ship, all your shit comes with you. That is
Yes,
just
that is nice.
And
it
that
all
just
fits.
makes sense. It all fits. Like they have universal docking collars for everything or whatever they want to call them. It's
And no
just
plug
penalty,
and
no
play.
price penalty for buying and selling. You can just pick something up, try it out, go back to the old ship, or try something new. It's kind of the lazy way to make a game, but at times we thought we'd probably build in a buy sell penalty.
No,
Just
not
ended up
lazy.
never
It's
putting
called
it in.
streamlined, Eric.
I'm sorry, streamline.
We did get a buy sell penalty on the commodities at least.
Yes.
Well, that makes more sense because those are commodities. That kind of makes more. For some reason, that makes more sense in my brain, at least.
See, just not having a penalty on the components is just like it's advanced work to prevent people from asking us for a buyback option, because that's inevitably what happens.
Oh God, really?
Oh, I didn't want to do that. Can I have a buyback option? And then you got to come up with a buyback screen and all this
or a
stuff.
way to preview the way
Kinda
that
just
the
try it out.
weapon plays.
And this way we don't have to mess with it. It's just like, yep, no, you don't really need it. Just you didn't lose anything.
Well, it's nice because you can buy some stuff, take off from the station, shoot the guns a little bit, be like, yeah, that ain't working out. Land, change your mind. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm totally down with that.
That's how
So-
we got it done in a year. We did things that required way less work to achieve more or less the same objective.
But it makes sense. One thing I love that you guys did that eschews the privateer model is you have the guilds, which I love because that's one thing I loved about privateers. You have the guilds, the merchants guild, and the mercenaries guild. But you also have guild specific ships, which privateer did not have, and I really like that a lot.
Yeah, we wanted to have you some sort of faction-y reward. I mean, we would have loved to do even more. Early in going, we talked about having like station fealties where you could do stuff for the station and it would,
That sounds like
get
perfect.
specific station benefits.
That sounds like
Do the
perfect
different-
DLC right there.
Do the different guilds actually have any kind of storyline unto themselves?
They don't.
No.
Okay,
There's
because that's the
there's
thing.
some side
like,
stories that you get into after you leave the first system, depending on how you've aligned yourself, that are optional. But there's no guild ones.
yeah, because
No.
have you heard of Skyrim?
I don't know. That sounds
No.
familiar, but I don't know.
So,
Little
well, just
ditty,
have
little
a
ditty called Skyrim.
little bit. So Alex playing through the thing, and where he says like, "Hey, I'm just gonna blow off the story, and I'm gonna go my own way," and that's how I play Skyrim. Right? Is just like I played through the story once, but I can replay it 100 times because I'll go and just be like, "Oh, well, this time I'm gonna be this kind of guy and go to the Dark Brotherhood." Right, and the next time I'll go to some other faction and kind of do their things, right? So like Rebel Galaxy 2, that would be pretty cool if there was multiple, like not grand story that arcs through the whole thing, but just pockets of story.
But
that-
There's
Skyrim-
sort of that in this one. There are basically two. We would have done more if we had Skyrim budget. But once
Well,
you
you do
leave
now,
the
you're
first
rich,
system,
dude.
yeah,
I mean, it don't, because Metacritic, if you get like a high score on Metacritic, you're rich, right? That's what I was
I
told.
don't know. I mean, this chair is
Something.
solid gold, but
Okay, because I don't know. I mean, well, you got like a 9.9, right? So you didn't really get a 10.
We didn't get anywhere near that. We got
No,
I think
God,
we're
no.
at 76 or something on Metacritic.
What? No, because every review that I saw was just like gushing about the damn thing.
think we
Yeah,
got
a
you get
lot of
people
good
who
reviews.
didn't really want a space game, or they wanted it to be bigger, or they didn't like our 2D plane. Our user score is a lot better than the critics scores, but critics were hit and miss.
See, the 2D thing is what is really confuses me, because like there are a lot of great space games that were just 2D. Freelancer 2D, Starfleet Command 2D. I mean, 3D
all the
just
top-down ones, yeah.
yeah.
I-
All the
Look at
top
Homeworld.
down ones.
Homeworld is 2D.
No,
well,
well,
we're
you
really
can't-
cutting them out. We removed that extra dimension to save some money. Honestly, it was all about, I don't think people deserve that extra dimension.
Yeah, but if you
It's too
look at all
much.
these games, because I was talking to James that's making Shallow Space, right? Because he has the same issue that everybody that's made a 3D space game. Like we had Paul on here last week that's doing Void Destroyer 2. All these guys, you're trying to plot coordinates on a 3D space
Yeah, it
with
can be
2D
maddening.
mouse.
It could be
And-
maddening. Yeah.
And you just you don't control depth, right? So you're clicking an infinity, it's some XY coordinate that's on the screen. So 3D is just such a pain in the ass.
It
And then
is.
whenever you talk to people, we had Martin on here, with Homeworld and stuff.
Martin
And-
Carrillis. You should really
Yeah.
better explain who you're talking about, Jim.
Okay, so Martin,
People don't know who these
Rose-
people. They don't know who these people are. You gotta throw out last names.
Yeah, come on, all these game developers know each other.
No, they don't.
So, but anyway, so yeah, Martin, who wrote the script for Homeworld 1.
Kerberos guy from
Yeah,
Kerberos.
and also made
Sword of
Cataclysm.
the Stars and
Yeah, Sword of the Stars. Yeah, well, Sword of the Stars is another thing with a 3D map that's a pain in the ass, right? So, but he said that whenever he went into the playtesting and he's watching people play the game, nobody used the 3D. Like, everybody played it like it was on a tabletop. And he's like, we busted our ass putting all this 3D in there, and then they're just playing it like, tabletop.
we're all like cons, stuck in two-dimensional thinking.
Exactly.
This is Homeworld you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always played that almost completely 2D. It would frustrate me when I had to.
You're just transitioning between levels of planes. you know?
Yeah.
And when they're
yeah.
fighting, the ships they do a little bit of angling when they go down to the plane, but once they hit the plane, then they level off. And they're all
Right,
it's
treating it as a 2D plane that they are engaging on.
Yep.
Yeah, and I just ran into a problem with 3D crap recently. There's a game called Ceres. I'm just gonna say what it is, and I was supposed to scan scan a derelict space station, but it was like below me, and because the fucking UI was not that great, I couldn't get to it. I couldn't fucking get to it. I had to actually use a follow command, right? The funny thing is when it followed it, it got stuck on it. It's like, fuck 3D. Goddamn, fuck 3D.
We also had a hard enough time filling out our little our 2D galaxies full of stuff to see. 3D, it would just be a lot more blank space for the most part.
I mean, no one complains that Star Trek barely talks about 3D. No, Star Trek never does anything 3D except that one time.
And it's a big exception.
That's a huge exception. Like,
And then they never do it again.
They never do it
That
again.
was a pain in the ass. Let's
like
never
you
do that
watch
again."
the Dominion War on Deep Space Nine, and they're all like hitting on the same plane. They're like, "You're in space, guys," and they're like, "We have to get through. Why can't you just go up?" I don't understand.
It's really hard to do a 3-dimensional blockade. It's a sphere, which is really weird.
Yeah, exactly. But on everything, Star Wars, Star Trek, if a planet's blockaded, it's just around the equator. That's the blockade, just around the center. It's like, what?
I think people, though, cockpit style games definitely make sense in 3D.
But that's a much smaller scale, so that's fine.
Right. But I think they're used to cockpit, or they're watching Star Citizen videos or something. And then they see, wait, you guys are in 2D? All the new ones are on 3D. Or, it's like
It's a slap in the face.
No, they're
Slap
not.
in the face.
They're not all in 3D. That's what. Oh God.
yeah. But it's certainly not because
There are other space games besides those two, you guys. Seriously. Many, many others right now, which is amazing.
But that's, I mean, it all works out. I think people who play it and try it usually come up really like it. We have a pretty good Steam player score, and people seem generally pleased. So, that's one of those things where I think you just have to try it. And now that we've done it, if we were ever to make a sequel, people would be like, oh, well, it was like that other game.
What were you going to say, Jim?
Oh, because you were talking earlier today about how you looked at the number of games that have released this year, and it's more space games this year than we had in the sweet spot of the 90s.
Yeah.
So it's like we're having more space now than ever.
There were more.
Partially that's because there's more of all games coming out.
This is true, but still, I mean, for a while,
this is the space time.
It's amazing. It's really amazing because for a while, we didn't get anything for 10, 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's just incredible that we've got relatively 30 decent space games released this year. That blows my mind.
Too many games.
That is a problem, though. That too, the discoverability.
Well, when your job is to play them all, then that's a real problem.
But you guys seem to.
I have no problem
with that.
Now, how did you guys do so well with the discovery thing? Because a lot of games, a lot of developers we talk to, that's one of their big issues is discoverability, especially on places like Steam. You guys didn't seem to have that problem. Is that because of your lengthy background?
Well, I think we haven't really reached the saturation. I think could still appeal to a bigger audience. I talked to a lot of people who have no idea what the game is, even though it's been out for a couple weeks, even though it's right up their alley. But I think we did pretty good. A couple of reasons. One is we really pursued a bunch of streamers to try to get streamers to play the game on Twitch and YouTube. Gave them the game a couple weeks early and just said have at it, and I think that paid off for us.
I'm sure that helped.
A lot of those contacts, and then that gets the word out a lot. We also leveraged, our Torchlight and game history a little bit. Those are hard to do. Nobody really cares about your story much anymore, though. So I think proof in the pudding by the streamers is what kind of.
I think it also helped that we had a couple things that were pretty instantly recognizable. I think it was easy for people to say, "Oh, it's Firefly game," or "It's a Cowboy Bebop," or whatever. We had a couple of hooks, I think, that made it easier to recognize.
Yeah, I think the music played a big part too. That whole blues, however you say his last name, Saraceno.
And I think having characters helps too. A lot of space games don't have characters.
Well, that was the thing. Like in the very first teaser trailer, right? Is because you had like the two alien guys that you meet first up in the game, and it was like that's pretty cool, right? Because the one guy's kind of like tentacle frog looking guy. The other guy's kind of Greedo-y. And it's like people kind of identified with that. So then it's like almost like they were the mascots of the game. Because if you saw those guys, you knew, all right, this is Rebel Galaxy. It's that thing that I saw.
Because after a while, kind of spaceships start to look like spaceships.
I kind of like how your early spaceships look more like trucks. I do appreciate that.
We try to do more of the
truly long for Euro Truck Sim in space.
Yeah,
that's what we want.
That's kind of what Elite is in a lot of ways, right? Oh, go ahead.
When Travis first kind of weathered them to look like they were kind of banged up, I said, "Hey, these look like Tonka trucks in space." So I've been thinking about it does feel like trucks in space. They're kind of these heavy metal chunks. That's why I like the 3D printing idea.
I have a title for the next game then. See how you like this. Star Truck.
Star Truck.
Yeah.
Well, I think we got to
capitalize
at least on what we have. We got to go Rebel Galaxy : Star Truck. I don't know. I'm not sure I love it.
Let's go space
you
truck.
You call it Star Truck Beyond.
Let's go space trucking. Come on. Come on.
Because they're doing a new Star Trek, right?
Yeah, I heard they were doing one that's like behind a subscription wall kind of thing.
Well, the first episode they're going to put on regular TV, and then if they want to watch the rest of it, you got to sign up for CBS All Access, which apparently is shit right now.
Wait a minute. No, I thought it was like they're going to put it on the CBS thing, but it's also going to be on TV.
Nope.
No,
only the first.
Only watch it.
Only the first episode, and then every episode after that is on their $6, not very good, only on a few devices so far.
Pirate
service.
Pirate.
I mean, it's only on Chromecast and Roku and no PS3. That's what I have. No PS3 app. Like, come on. So many people use PlayStation for streaming.
So what they're trying to do is they're trying to surpass Game of Thrones as the most porned thing ever, right?
Yeah, it sounds
That's what they're doing, because they're going to create the element. Like people that don't even know where to go and how to operate that are going to learn, because Star Trek is behind a paywall.
So I have a couple questions from various sources. First, any idea when the console versions are going to be released? We
don't have a precise date yet. We're in pre-cert right now. Hopefully we'll be done with that by the end of the week, but we can't say for sure. And that's where we have gone through with Blitworks and checked and made sure that when it does go through certification, it won't immediately kicked out because we did something stupid. Then we schedule the cert with Sony and Microsoft, and then however long that takes, but not having been through that process,
can that happen? You just get kicked out of pre-certification because of something?
There's a checklist of things that have to work, that have to be met. If used to, it was really arcane things like when the Xbox, if you remove the thumb drive that they're saving their game to, you have to pop up this one specific message, and it has to do this thing, and they have a long list of things that you have to do to certify. So you try and make sure all those things are done, and then you kick it into the process at one end, and they do all the checks. If it passes, you're done. If it doesn't, they send it back and say, oh, well, here's why you failed certification. And then you rectify that issue, and you go through the process again.
Is there a lot of platform specificness to that? Like I know the PlayStation streaming thing and the Xbox streaming are different animals, and probably that's on the
streaming,
checklist,
which
right?
helps. But I mean, they're all to a certain extent platform specific because like the Xbox controllers have like that roaming profile thing that they do, which is very specific to them, and they've all got their own achievement systems, which are all different.
Oh.
But the main game, right? The bulk of it, is
Yeah.
it easily portable to both consoles, or did you have to change a whole bunch of stuff at the core?
It's
to get it
basically
to
the
go?
same game. I mean, it's the same game.
Well, but as far as to get it to play on the platform, is it?
Just more about optimization than anything else, because we designed it so it would work okay with a controller from the beginning. So it was really just about making sure it ran well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it's like back in the era of like Xbox One or Xbox.
The original
360 and
Xbox?
PS3.
Do you mean the
No, the 360 and the PS3, right? So the PS3 had that like a motion engine chip weird thing. It was a completely non 8080 x86 architecture.
It's
right?
a lot more standard
And then-
now.
Okay.
A lot more standard.
Yeah, because they all
Especially
use they also use PC architecture pretty much, right?
Yeah, it's a lot more standard. There's differences in the way that the graphics memory is handled, and
Yeah. But the
you know,
Xbox
you've got
is
different
basically
shader
run on
model on the
Windows.
PS4 and the Xbox One, but the Xbox One shaders are pretty much the same as DirectX 11 shaders, and the renderer is real similar. And the PS4 is different, and its shaders are a little different, but they're still pretty close. So it's nowhere near the nightmare it probably used to be.
But when you're dealing with different shaders, is it just like you invoke them with a different name, or is there actually a difference in?
I have different data
shader?
files for each one. So I maintain, I think, oh my God, 5 different renderers and 4 different shader sets that all basically do the same thing for OpenGL and DirectX 9, DirectX 11, PS4, and then
But it's
the
almost
Xbox
like you
One
can just
shaders are a
search and
little
replace it.
different.
Right?
No, not necessarily.
No.
I wish it was, but it's nowhere near as bad as it used to be.
Oh. See,
General
if you'd have made this
concepts
in Unity,
underneath are
don't you
pretty
just hit a
close.
magic button and it just like craps out every version?
I have no idea, but I don't know. I wasn't ready to switch to Unity. That's a lot of
Yeah.
work for me. I'm old and set in my ways.
Well, that's the one good thing. Like everything else about it's a bad thing, but the one good thing is you hit one button, you get a Linux, a Mac, and a Windows, and also
Yeah.
you can play in a web player. But that's the downside is it's a web player that has been turned into a platform. for the
And there's been
desktop.
some amazing. I'm always amazed at what people do with Unity.
Yeah.
I've
I'm
been
amazed
a programmer
that they
too
do
long, and I'm not
anything
used to
at all.
working with black boxes like that.
Yeah.
Black boxes?
Like there's a lot of a lot of it is not stuff you can look at. You put something in this end, and Unity does stuff, and then something else happens over here. The code of what Unity does is opaque to you. So
Really?
you have to kind of you have to have a vague understanding of what it's doing to take advantage of it, and that's always a little weird.
Huh.
Yeah, so you sacrifice a lot of control and optimizations right out the window, and
And you
did
can
not
pay
know
to
that.
get access to that source, but it's I think a lot of money.
I did not know that. Wow. We also had another question about how the launch went and how it's going, how the game is doing now.
It's doing better than we expected. It's going well. So
Was it a smooth launch? I mean, I saw you went on. It's on Steam and GOG.
yep, it was pretty smooth. I mean, you always have bugs after launch and hardware issues or unforeseen stuff, but compared to stuff that we launched prior, at least for me, it was pretty smooth. A lot of work, but smooth overall.
Now, would you say which platform would you say of the two was easier to use? Is easier for you guys to use? Is it Steam or GOG? Just out of
Oh
curiosity.
man, you're gonna make them mad at us though.
Yeah, I'm not sure we can even legally say.
Oh, really? You can't even say which one is easier to use as a developer.
Well,
I'm not going to push it if you can. I was just curious.
Steam gives you better control, more immediate control. We control our own patches and things, whereas we have to work through GOG to do theirs. So I guess in that sense, they're easier to work with or quicker to work with.
We have
So-
more direct control on Steam because it's a service that they built out that way.
so
I
with
think
with
Little
GOG,
Games is heading that way, but
well, with GOG, right? Because I've done stuff in Steam, right? So you push the thing up, right? You run
Yep.
Steam command and it uploads. and then you go in there and just say, okay, this repo, make it live, and bang,
Yep.
done. With
do it
GFG,
live!
Do you zip it up and email it to them and just say, hey guys, whenever you get around to it, put
Email
this
it
in.
to
Yeah, we FTP it to them, and then they put it up, and then they maintain the patches, and now they have Galaxy, which I think lets you sync to any one of those patches you want. So they're obviously building up a service to do a lot of this stuff,
Yeah, they are.
and they're great.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a different process.
Yeah, because we got on Gamersgate, and it was a similar thing where it was like,
Not me, him.
hey,
This is what
here's
he
this,
did.
please, when when you get around to it, please update.
You should specify who you mean by we. Just
Me,
yeah, you, not me. I had nothing to do with this.
me and
The
mine.
royal we.
I wish that I had nothing to do with it. Anyway,
Oh,
yeah.
oh shit. All right, so I do forget this, and so someone in the chat asked, which engine are you using?
So it's a real messed around Ogre 3D engine, which is what we were using at Runic, and it's been kind of obviously it's had some big changes since Ogre does not support the PS4 or the Xbox One, and it has
Oh,
a redone material system and streaming system because the game streams, and it's got a normally it's got a weird 64-bit positional handler because space is big, and you have precision issues if you're trying to render that.
right.
Anyway, it's messed around a lot.
But it's what we kind of made Torchlight with, and that's what we were most comfortable and just the quickest way we could just jump into action when we started the new.
I knew the renderer and I knew the engine and what it did for resources and everything else, and we had some basic tools for doing like data handling and like graphs and stuff like that, and all those made it a lot easier to get off the ground because I didn't have to spend 2 months, figuring out Unreal or whatever. More than 2 months probably.
Right. Well, it's a gorgeous game. I mean, someone, Astroman, the chat mentioned nice job on the nebulas, which is true. They're all cloudy and funky, and I love the lightning that shuts your shields down. That is really it's just a gorgeous game, and it's so smooth. It just runs like butter. And
That was one of the benefits of doing the console versions early.
Oh,
Because
really?
optimizing for the consoles, you get a lot of benefits back on the PC side.
Yeah, because there were some. I was in a few huge battles, and there was no slowdown whatsoever, no stuttering at all, and with just tons of shit on screen.
I love this have a pretty good minimum spec too, because it really will work on an old crummy Intel HD, with everything turned off. But I mean, at least it works.
Oh, good question. John Warrior in the chat asks, any ideas you would like to implement into the game after you take a nice break that is obviously well-deserved?
I think we really haven't gone into too much planning of what to do next. I think we're less likely to do like trickle out DLC than to do some big ticket items. We're more big expansion or sequel kind of guys than DLC guys. Just the way we think. We have a million ideas that didn't go in, but Travis and I haven't argued about which ones should go in if we continue on yet. So we really don't almost know anything. We're not trying to be evasive. We haven't even discussed it between ourselves much.
There's barely been any mental space for it.
I'm sure, but I would totally love to see like an actual full-blown like expansion, not just like, oh, this ship is $10 and this ship is $30, and no, I would much rather see.
Do you mean this ship is $500?
Nah, I
We'd
wasn't
probably
thinking.
do a sequel before we would do a real expansion. If we were
Oh,
gonna do that.
really?
If we were going to do something like that, because then then you don't have to support everything else. It's not like, well, how can we make this work with everybody's current save game and everything that they've got?
Oh, I like
That's
it.
a lot of work if you're going to do anything interesting.
That makes sense.
And
I
it
never thought of
also
it that
limits
way.
you to the audience that was in the first game. If people didn't like things about the first game and we rectify them, how are we going to get them back? We're not.
So when you guys were talking about, like it's like after Torchlight, and you're like, okay, what's our next game, right? And I'm sure that like the first thing wasn't, hey, let's make Rebel Galaxy, right? So like what else was in the air? Like, did you have like some things to choose from, and you picked this? Like, what were the other things that were floating around in your head?
No, it was Rebel Galaxy.
It wasn't called that, but
But we did know that this is the game we wanted to make. When Travis called me up and first mentioned it, he said, "Hey, why don't we do that space game idea?" And so it was the first phone call we had, even creating the company. We decided to do the space game, which turned into Rebel Galaxy. I mean, it was a much different concept at the time, but this was what we intended to do from the get-go.
Okay. So how long was there between your last project and this one?
Well, from starting this one, it was like 17 months to ship it. So that was like April of last year was when we started.
Dear Lord.
Well, I mean, like you finished Torchlight 2.
Well, we finished Torchlight 2, and then we had months of Torchlight 2 post-release support because we had the editor, and we did like Steamworks stuff for like the workshop, and then we had a vacation, and then so it was probably, I feel like it was like 6 months between kind of shipping Torchlight 2 and starting on this in its ultimately aborted form. It didn't live that long.
So whenever you're doing post-release support like that, especially for Torchlight, because you put a bunch of crap in there that, it's like I bought the game day one, you got my money, and then you spend like 6 more months cranking out stuff that really doesn't pull any more money out of me. Yeah. So was it about like catching the last couple sales out there, or?
Well, I mean, from a purely business perspective, when you're doing like the Steam Workshop stuff, that's just keeping people invested in your game and interested in your game and keeping it alive, which theoretically means that you sell copies for longer or more copies for longer, right? I mean, just supporting things is usually, I think, good business.
Yeah, well, that's the thing now, and I think Steam has kind of created that environment more so than anything, where it used to be, you bought a game at retail. What was in the box is what you got, and then there might be a patch on like a PC Gamer CD someday. That was about it. And now it has become a thing where the public expects that you, for at least 6 months, are going to continue to massage this game, or whatever. And it's an interesting thing like that, because you do the bulk of your sales in the first 2 weeks, and then like whenever you go on sale or something, you get it again. But it's kind of like in that trough where you're not really doing a lot of sales is then when the additional effort goes in. So I'm just kind of asking that, from a business sense of thing, like other indie developers listening to this, it's like, I guess you have to expect that you're going to do that, if not for residual sales there, but to prime the pump for the next game, because then your audience knows, hey, these guys actually stick around and support the thing for months afterwards.
Yeah, you definitely have to support it, and you don't want to have a reputation for like flopping stuff out there and then just leaving it there to die. There's a limit to how much that we as a two-man team can like add. I mean, I think that some people will have an expectation, oh, well, there'll be a bunch of DLC, and you'll just release scads of ships and new missions and stuff, and we can't do that. Partially because we actually, after we get this stuff shipped, really do actually have to start on another game, whatever it is, whether it's a sequel to this or a different title or something, because we're not a larger company that has people who go fallow in between projects. It's not like, oh, well, we finished this one, and then we'll noodle around and have a vacation and do pre-production, but there'll be other people, still churning along here at the company. When we go on vacation, there's nobody else doing anything.
Well, that's kind of what DLC was born from, right? It's like, hey, we got a bunch of artists, we don't want to fire them. What can we let them do?
It was artists and designers can now, productively use their time, and they're not just sitting around on their hands. We're never going to really be in that position.
Yeah, but with some companies, EA, it's become the actual business model. It's like the game costs $100. I know you're only paying $60 up front, but really this game costs $100.
Well, and game prices really have not gone up, is the thing.
And I think he's talking about DLC.
Inflation.
Yeah, but overall it raises the overall price of the game. The game costs $60, right? But it really costs $100 after you get all the things.
Right.
Right? But you can't charge $100 up front. That's madness.
Right, and it's like in a market where the prices are descending, because like the indie space and everything. Well, you put this out at $20. You're nuts. First off.
Well, and of course we had people who were like $20. That's kind of steep. Maybe I'd pay 15. Maybe,
well, I guess
10. You'll always get it.
Well, you'll get them the first time it goes on sale, then, right? Because the people wait for that. But by the way, do you have visibility, right, of like how many people wish listed it? Right, so is there like a ton of people waiting in the wings?
I haven't looked in ages, honestly, and I don't know that there's
Can you see that? Can you see how many people?
If you can separate it out from what they did either. I can't remember.
Because I
Yeah,
hear
I don't-
developers talk about that. They're like, yeah, I got like 1 million things on people's wish lists. You know,
Yeah, we
so-
did not get 1 million wish lists. You know, I wish we had 1 million wish lists. It's a lot of wish lists.
Well, we should buy this for everybody that we know for Christmas.
Also, it's sort of our almost mission statement, though, is we don't want to just chase the dollars and try to figure out the best business arrangements. We're in this to make fun games, not to. Well, we'd love to make big money, but we're not scheming on what the best little price schemes are right now. We just want to make a good game at a fair price and just keep it simple for
Right,
ourselves
but
mostly.
Well, the reason that I ask about the other stuff though is because it's like you hit the prize here, right? Like this is awesome. So we don't have to really worry about that aspect of things. So it's kind of like, what advice do you have for the other indie guys? About the business end of stuff is kind of what I'm
Just overall
I'm
business. Like
I think
like making a game, or
Yeah, is it just like just don't do it? Is that
that's a lot of work.
I've got a lot of friends, and we all talk to each other, and our circumstances are all just so different. Our skill sets and what size of teams and what scopes we want to work. I don't think that we have great advice for anybody, even people I know very well. We argue about what we should do. So I don't know. I don't know if people should model themselves off of us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the thing about you saying, well, we want to make the quality game first off, and we're not chasing after the dollar, right? And I'm just saying, well, I wanted to talk about the dollar because we know that you made the quality game, so that's where that was coming from. I mean, you don't have to pursue that further, but
Sure.
but it's just like that's where that line of question was about. So, yeah, what has nobody asked you yet that you're like surprised? Because I can't think of anything that I would really want to ask. So there's got to be some glaring omission. It's like, I can't believe nobody's asked us about whatever.
I'm trying to think through my cold-addled haze. Let's see.
Well, while you're thinking of that, I have 2 questions from the chat room to fill the void while you're thinking of that. First how difficult was it for you to settle on the 19, well, I guess 20 for the game? I mean, that seems a little obvious because Torchlight, they were all 20.
I think it's just a magic price, and I think there have been a lot of studies where people have looked at, revenue and units and prices, and there's a weird little peak at $20 where it's people's like, I don't really care, I'll buy it. Price.
Yeah, that is true. Like there was a game there was this really neat looking roguelike 4X thing that came out. And it looked really neat, and I like hit all my buttons, like procedural generated roguelike 4X strategy. Like it was like $17.99. Like, okay, sure.
As soon as it passes above 20, I think there's some mental warning goes off, like, oh no, this is the big bucks now.
Yeah, this is not impulse buy territory. That's.
Did you guys do a discount on launch? I mean, I didn't have to buy it.
Yeah, we did a 10% discount, so it was like $2 whole off. It was amazing.
But you know what? This is my point though. When you're $20, okay, and people are like, $20, I don't know, and it's like, oh, we took $1 off. Oh, 19, okay.
I think some of it's just well, they don't have to feel bad that they didn't wait for a Steam sale. It's like, well, it was on sale now. I mean, it's almost a Steam sale, right?
Right, but it's
the idea that you got a good
thing.
deal on it.
Well, it's like why the price of gasoline is a lie, right? It's like $2.20 and 9/10 of a cent.
Is it that cheap where you live?
It's $2.15.
Are you kidding me? Where do you live?
Holy fuck!
I'm in North Carolina. This is the most taxed out state other than Hawaii.
Holy fuck! We're pretty heavily taxed on our gas. It's like $2.90 here.
Well, we're smuggling it in from Mexico, actually.
Jesus Christ. We're closer to we're closer to Mexico than you are. What the fuck?
I don't know.
We're way closer. Holy shit!
But yeah, man, like $2.15 is what it was. I filled up on the way home.
Oh my god, that's not fair.
It's been hovering there for a couple of years too. Like,
what?
Dude, it was like $4.50, pushing toward $5, and then the 2008 the economy did its thing, and it like fell. We got it down to like $1.50 here, and then it climbed back up over $2, and it's been hovering around $2.20, $2.40.
Fucking California.
Yeah. You can't have a Volkswagen in California anymore either. So
I have no idea what it costs because I don't even have a car anymore, so I don't pay attention.
were you one of those bicycle guys? You just
I am indeed.
I see. So I saw a desk accessory. It was like so you can sit on your bicycle at your desk at
That
work.
sounds so uncomfortable.
That's not going to happen.
No. It's like you can ride your bike while you work. No.
So Astroman is asking, how did you stimulate interest? We kind of touched on this, but how did you stimulate interest and what was your marketing plan? I mean, you already mentioned the streamers.
Well, what sort of led into the streamers, too, is we did a couple of trade shows. We did the PAX South, and we did a PlayStation Experience last December in Vegas. And so those, we just set up a little tiny booth, 2 machines, 2 TVs, a little 10 by 10, and we just demoed the hell out of the game to everybody who'd come by. And streamers came by, so that's how we got a lot of the early interest from streamers. And just it's also a great way to play test your game. Watch what people are screwing
That's
up
true.
and everything.
That's
So,
true.
Yeah.
I think that's how we just kind of kicked it off a little bit. We did whatever press we could. Nobody was super interested in 2 guys making a space game. So
Hello?
there weren't a whole lot of stories. You guys were there for us, so thanks for that.
We're also tiny and very niche, very super focused.
And we did the 2 trailers. I think those worked reasonably well.
Great trailers, by the way. Fantastic trailers.
And they served to get some press and clicks. But when we were released, we really only had, I think, 1 Metacritic score that was even on the board. And we'd sent out the game like 2 weeks prior. I think it didn't help that it's kind of long to finish, longer than we expected it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, my Let's Play series is about 3.5 hours long, and I'm still in just the first system.
It
That was
seems
by
to take
choice.
most people minimum like 6 hours. Some people take 8 or 15 to get out of the first system. We think it takes most people about 30 to 40 hours to finish the game.
Yeah, someone told me that they finished it in 20, which seemed fairly
20
quick.
is on the real fast side. 20
Yeah,
to
that seemed-
24 is like the fast side.
I mean,
But if it wasn't that long, then people would be like, "This game's too short." So you know.
Well, and it's way longer than any of the Torchlight games were. The first Torchlight, I think, was probably 6 hours maybe to finish, and the second
Really?
one was probably more like 12 or maybe 14.
I had no idea.
So I know how to fix this. What you need is Kate Upton, and we get like a 30-second TV spot,
Yep, that's our ticket to big time.
and
We
you
just
will
gotta-
make $1 million a day.
Did you see the guy who just took some Kate Upton like fast food ad and put like a
What?
picture of their product on it? Or like, I'm gonna give it a Kate Upton ad, and so they took a clip from a Kate Upton like food commercial where she was paid to be shilling some fast food when they put their product name on like the box. They're like, we're gonna have a
God.
Kate Upton. We're gonna have a Kate Upton trailer.
Hey guys, on that note, I'm gonna have to cut my involvement short here. I've got my ride to dinner is leaving, and he's pissed.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, Eric, thank you so much for joining us,
Thanks for
and
having me.
congratulations on the success of the game.
Thanks much. Hope to talk to you guys again.
Oh, you
All right,
will, especially if there's a sequel. Don't worry.
Okay.
We just like to hang out with you guys. We don't even care if you got a game.
Well, we didn't have much of an agenda here. It was more just
Do we ever have an agenda? It's like, there's a
Shit.
game. Let's talk about it. Okay, there's other shit to talk about. Sure.
So
talk
I
about
could
Jimmy
ask Travis,
Stewart.
like, so what else have you been playing?
That's a funny joke. That's a funny joke.
Someone
I wanna play
did
Fallout.
ask what your
That's 'cause of
favorite.
my vacation.
Someone did ask what your favorite ships are. Do you know it, Eric?
Sturville is my favorite ship.
That's
the
what someone
one you
else
get-
said. That's what someone else
It's the
said.
one you get at the Mercenaries Guild after ranking up a little bit, but that's my favorite. I think that Eric likes the Barracuda. I think that's his favorite. And both of us like kind of the mid-size to smaller, faster ships. We're not dreadnought flyers.
My next ship's probably gonna be the Scarab because I love turrets, and I'm just gonna put so many mining lasers on that thing.
Well,
Because-
anybody that's ever listened to you talk for more than 5 minutes knows you got turrets.
Uh,
'Cause you,
uh,
oh wait, no, that's because you're from Philly. Never mind.
Anyway, oh
Well,
my
I should
god.
probably roll off here pretty soon too. I need to get some tea. My throat's about to go.
Oh, that's fine. We've been talking over an hour. Someone in the chat said their
Wow.
yeah, I know, right? Someone said their first playthrough was about 40 hours,
Yeah, that seems to be like that seems like the long outside, and
that is a really good amount of gameplay for $20.
it's pretty good for $20. I feel good about how much we crammed in there for $20. I think
I would like.
I think we did a
I
good
would
job
like.
packing stuff in there.
I would like to see some art, like some fan art, for what a yik yak looks like. Because I have
yik
always
yak
wondered,
milk?
yeah, like what the hell does a yik yak look like? Is it like a six-legged moose with a lot
I'm
of
gonna have to
hair?
ask Eric on that one because that one was Eric's name.
That'd be a fun contest. You should do that. Like, give us some yik yak art. The best artist wins a copy of the game or something like that.
Yeah.
Or something.
I'll talk to our social media expert about that.
That could be a fun
'cause
contest to run.
I need some yik yak content here. Or
Yickety yak.
space cows. Oh yeah,
talk
that was
back.
yeah, space cows. Right, we haven't talked about that in about a year.
What?
So, is the cow level in here? What's going on?
I'm afraid there's no cow level. There are no
Oh.
cow.
What are you talking
See, the
about?
last time they were on
No,
here,
what?
I was giving them hell.
See, I
about
didn't make Diablo. I'm not obliged to add cow levels. I was not at Blizzard North.
Oh, very nice.
I'm now.
But
Well-
you were there for Torchlight stuff, though.
Well,
right?
since Travis is losing his voice, and I'm kind of losing mine, actually, we're just going to wrap this up. We've been talking over an hour. That's a good length for a podcast, right? Actually, most of our podcasts seem to go to an hour and a half to 2. So this is actually kind of short for us.
I apologize for that.
No, you're sick. Don't even worry about it. 2 weeks ago, I sounded like this. And that's a bad. And this is kind. Oh my god, yeah, I sounded so terrible. Something is going around because
Through America. Yeah.
It's weird. Something is going around. It hit you. Like, I rarely get sick, and I got hit hard on this
I'm
one.
ready for this to be over.
I know, right? I've had this for a month. It's like, God damn it, this cough. How much phlegm can a human body have? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So I do want to point out though that the most prestigious website that I write for now, TechRaptor gave you a 9.5.
I know. That was a nice one.
I know.
It's a very
It would have
nice
been a 9.9, but I didn't write it. But
I don't give
couldn't
scores,
really-
but I told
I would
everyone that
take
you. I don't give scores, but I tell everyone I know that they should buy it and love it, and
Yeah.
and cherish it.
So, but I am going to talk about it over there, like because it's like they already reviewed it and stuff. But I'm doing a basically like a space sci-fi game column that's going to hit.
Are you? You're competing
I
with me
am.
now? Is that how this works?
I'm actually going to just kind of copy paste your shit. And this-
Okay, that's fine. Just change a
slash
word.
r slash
Just
space
change a
game
word.
stuff.
Just change a few words here and there, so it's not a complete duplicate, because Google doesn't like duplicate content. And then that's fine.
Yeah, I'll just smack my branding on there. You'll be good. But no, it's like I want to cover like the not spaceship stuff. Mechs and powered armor and.
We still need to get Mech Game Junkie off the ground at some point.
So,
But anyway,
yeah.
Travis, I want to thank you so much for
Thank
taking
you.
the time.
Thanks for having us both.
And folks, if you're tuning in late, next week we are gonna have what is that game called? Infinity Battlescape, Jim. That game you're.
I forgot we were gonna have those.
Yeah, we're
guys
having
on.
them on next week.
Travis, you need to show up for that. I can like slip you a bill to that. I'm
You
sure
are
they
so
would.
welcome to come back, Travis. Your voice is better.
Just crash it.
I should totally have like a multi-dev. We've never done that. A multi-dev.
Jimmy Stewart. You just have guests from the past. Wow, tell me about this battlescape.
Yeah, we'll call it pod crash.
What is this computer thing I'm a jiggy?
No,
I
that
don't
game's
understand.
Behind a wall?
that game is really something because it's an indie deal. It's a few guys making it. But they've got like all this like.
They've also been working on it for 10 fucking years, Jim. Let's
Yeah, but
not be like, oh, they're the second coming. No, they've been working on it for a goddamn
Yeah,
decade.
but so like Derek Smart, they were working on it back on the Commodore 64. But
On a cassette tape drive.
do you know that actually he was making Battlecruiser originally for the C64?
Whatever.
Yeah.
Lies.
Anyway, all right, we'll let him
Anyway,
get out.
folks,
before
we're gonna let you go, Travis. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
tuning in, everyone. Thank you, Travis, for joining us, and send our thanks to. I'll email you guys, but send my thanks also to Erich for taking the time out to join us. Folks, we'll see you next week, and don't forget Thursday. If you want to tune in, we're going to try and flail about some more in X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. We're going to beat that fucking asteroid-based mission, for God's sakes.
Space Jesus, and if he shows up,
we have to do it. He's in Norway or some
I
shit.
know.
He's probably not going to come.
He's just got his laptop, and he can't even game on
Can't
it.
even play it. He can probably play it on that, but whatever. So, folks, Thursday, 5 o'clock Pacific, we're the barely triumphant return of X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. So we'll see you for that. And then
I'm going to hack past that mission.
don't do it. We have to do it on our own. And next week in Fiddly Basket. Thank you, Travis. We'll see you all next week. Bye.
Thank you.